Listen to the vibes.
Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Vibes, and love to welcome here Paul Skidmore, who is an author and a filmmaker. So, we're going to talk to him and have a great conversation. Paul, tell us a little bit more about you.
Well, I'm author and filmmaker in Tennessee, and I've been storytelling since I was a kid, since I was 5 years old, at our local library doing storytelling contests. And I've always been fascinated with movies and sort of lived in my head in the world of movies. And in college, decided to really pursue that professionally. Went to North Carolina School of the Arts, learned from some really fantastic teachers and some industry professionals, surrounded by a couple of hundred other, peers that were seriously interested in the same thing that I was, some of whom are now working in basically A-list positions in Hollywood now. Um, and Now I have written three short stories and a novel. One of those short stories I have turned into a film, which is almost finished and will be released later this year.
Are you producing the film yourself?
I wrote it, produced it, directed it, shot it, edited it, doing the color correction, doing the sound design. So I had one other friend, Noah Woodard, who, without whose help, I could not have done the film at all. And the two of us were sort of the main crew for the whole film. It was a very small production. We also had our production assistant, Caitlin Klein, that was there almost every day. And most days it was just the three of us. We did have a few other crew people that came through and helped us out on a few days, but it was a really small show. We shot it out of the back of my Subaru Outback. It's the smallest crew that I've been on since maybe my first year of film school. But
Oh,
it was a fun process. It was it was tough, but it was we learned a lot and it was really good. And I think the film looks really great. The trailer's been out now for a couple of years. Editing has taken a long time, but yeah, and it feels good to have something that so when you're a book, when you're writing a book, you're an author, you're sort of in control of everything. You might have an editor that helps clean some things up or something like that, but people sort of understand that basically this is your creation. Film is largely a very collaborative effort between the actors and the rest of the crew and all that. And certainly my actors, in particular the two leads, did a lot of heavy lifting on the ultimate uh, end product of the film. And like I said, Noah helped me every step along the way. But this is going to be a pretty neat instance where when the film is done, pretty much every major role except the music, I've been in charge of and overseeing. I'm obviously working closely with my composers, but I'm not writing the music myself. So
well,
it's gonna be nice to have something in my hand that I feel like, oh yeah, this is really mine. I did this.
without giving too much away, can you tell us a little bit about it?
Sure. So it's adapted from my short story, The Darkness Rolled Over Her. And The Darkness Rolled Over is a story about depression and hopelessness and hope and the importance of human connection. So, in the early pages of the book, you realize that Gwen, the main character, has decided to take her own life. And she's going to go on this one last trip that she has planned, kind of as a way to sort of secretly say goodbye to some friends, some acquaintances. It's a fly fishing retreat, and she gets paired up with this old fly fisherman named Roy. And Gwen and Roy's conversation throughout the day starts to challenges Gwen's decision a little bit. And Sam is another young woman that is on this trip. Gwen is middle aged, Sam is in her 20s. And Gwen looks at Sam and she sees Sam as sort of being where she was at that age. And so now she's also sort of torn, she doesn't want Sam to end up where she is now. And so how do I help Sam when I have nothing left? And so those are sort of the themes that the story deals with. It deals with discouragement. It deals with sort of the lost feeling that I think all of us go through at some point. And so while the book does specifically deal with someone who's wanting to end their life, it's really about more than that. It's about having purpose, finding purpose, being able to connect with other people, and being able to keep moving through a dark circumstance by giving rather than waiting to receive or taking. And so anyone that is discouraged, anyone that is in a dark place, uh, every unique person is going to need a unique set of things to help them get out of that place. But one thing that I think everyone needs is the ability to talk with somebody about what's going on and be able to have a safe conversation with somebody. And the one surprising thing that I think most people need, or I think all people need, um, is they need to give away rather than wait for things to come to them. I think we feel unloved, we feel discouraged, and we feel like if someone would love me, if someone would encourage me, if someone would support me, and maybe someone will come along and do that. And I hope that that happens and that would be good. But what you usually find, even if that does come along, is it's not as satisfactory as you think that it would be. But when you encourage someone else and when you show some love and support to someone else, what happens is it sort of unlocks a level of love and encouragement and support that you really didn't even know existed until you started really giving it away to somebody. And you get much more satisfaction out of that than you ever would get by just receiving that encouragement and love. And so, in the character relationships in the book and then coming up in the film, I think you see those dynamics play out in a realistic way. I want the film to be something that people who are in a dark place can a say, uh, this is this is how I feel, and this is giving me some wisdom on how I can deal with this and how I can keep moving through this dark time. And I also want them to be able to show friends and family and say, hey, this is what I'm going through, and this is what I need help with. Likewise, I want friends and family to be able to read the book or to eventually watch the film and say, hey, I think this might be, my family member or my friend. And now I know some good, safe, and healthy ways to be able to speak with them and to encourage them. So that's my hope for the book. That's my hope for the film eventually. The book is available in paperback already. The ebook of the film, or the ebook of the short story, is available for free at fivecoffeesinabook.com. So if you want to buy a paperback, I will take your money. But if you would like to have the story for free, you can go to fivecoffeesinabook.com and get the ebook. And there's also a discussion guide there. So Five Coffees in a Book is something that I developed with some friends that's sort of like a mini book club, because I found as soon as I'd written the book, a friend of mine was talking with me. She had read it, and we had known each other for a long time, but we were kind of acquaintances. We met each other in the hallway, and she's like, "Oh, I read the book, and when it got to this part, it reminded me of some things that I was going through." And she suddenly started telling me sort of very personal things because she felt safe doing that because she knew I knew what it meant because she'd read the book, you know. And whenever she got into a place where I felt like she was uncomfortable talking about personal things, she would turn and talk about the book instead as sort of a mask, to talk about those things. And I found that the book can really be a good, foil for conversations like that. Give people the ability to crutch is not really a great word, but give them sort of a safety net to be able to say, okay, I'm going to have this conversation, and if I want to bail out, I can just talk about the book. And that led us to have a deeper conversation about these things than we maybe ever would have had otherwise. So I developed the Five Coffees in a Book little discussion guide as a way of giving people the opportunity to talk about some of these things, to read the book and talk about it with other people, with a close friend, and sort of unlock those levels of love and support and encouragement that I was talking about before. And who doesn't want to sit and have coffee with somebody? I mean,
Right.
if that's all they do, that's a bonus. That's a win. If they don't even read the book, that's fine. So the book and the discussion guide are available completely for free at fivecoffeesinabook.com. They're going to be free forever. I would love to give away 100,000 copies of the ebook. I want people to have it and to benefit from it, and I don't want there to be a lot of friction for them being able to get it. The only thing they have to put in is their email address, and they can cancel the emails as soon as they want. But if they keep their emails in, then they'll get notifications, of course, about the film coming out and any related news with that. But yeah, so that's it for The Darkness Rolled Over.
Now, outside of you writing it, is this something more personal? Is it like a reflection of something in your life?
Yeah, I mean, I think any created work, is going to fit that definition. I've said to several people, all the characters in the book are me in some way. I've been Roy to some people. I've been Sam at some parts of my life. I've been Gwen in some ways. I don't know that I have been in the exact same place as Gwen to the depth that she is in the book. But there have been mornings that I've woken up and just thought, just looking at my life and how repetitive it's gotten, just been in a rut and thinking, hey, if this is what life is, like I don't want to do this anymore, you know, and just needing to find a way to make some changes and ultimately it comes down to purpose. I just felt like my life was not accomplishing anything for myself or anybody else, which is why I think encouraging someone else and loving someone else is so quick and so good to begin lifting you out of a dark place. It may not be all that you need, but it will help because it immediately gives you a purpose. Even if that purpose is just a simple thing and is sort of wrapped up in somebody else, at least it's a purpose. It's infinitely more than no purpose. And so that has been my experience that as I've gone through life, I'm not married, I don't have kids. So as I'm looking for friendship and as I'm looking for love and these kinds of things, in relationships that I've had where my Starbucks barista, I got kind of gotten to know him and he was like, hey man, my life is a mess. I need a mentor. Will you mentor me? And I mean, most people don't get asked that, that kind of thing. I was kind of
Right.
taking it and I was like, I don't know what to tell you to do. My life's a mess too, dude. But we decided to get together and start reading together. And eventually we just spent life together. And I didn't really necessarily give him a lot of wisdom or direction or whatever. I'd give him some advice occasionally if I had some, but a lot of times it was just conversation and listening. And I saw his life change through that time period, and he was very thankful for it. But I've told him over and over again, you will have no idea how much more this helped me than it helped you until you were able to do it for somebody else. And he just had his first child, a son, and I'm sure he is now learning that lesson in a much grander fashion, on his own in that relationship. But this is something that is important to me. And the story sort of came first. It was sort of based. My dad's a fly fisherman, and it was sort of very loosely based around just an event that he was a part of for one day. But at the time, I was just trying to fill out an anthology of short stories so I could afford to do a paperback. And but the story really took on a life of its own. And as I was almost finished writing it, I had two friends of friends um, that we lost them,
Mhm.
and it made it very real all of a sudden. And I reached out. I had one friend who had lost her father. I had two friends that had attempted and survived, thank God. And I had another friend that had counseled people that had been having these kinds of thoughts. And all four of them read early drafts and gave me fantastic feedback, which I worked into the story. So I don't claim to be a mental health expert by any means. I'm just a writer. I went to film school and didn't go to, don't have a medical degree or anything like that. But I did try to take a lot of care and do research and ask um, people that I thought it would matter to, and they like how the book has turned out. They're really excited for the film. I'm really appreciative of their input that they gave me. Um, I kind of took my dealing with depression or loneliness and basically just tried to turn up the volume to create the character of Gwen. But whenever you turn up the volume on something, you get a distortion that isn't sort of present in the rest of it, right?
Right.
And so you have to really talk to somebody like my friends who have attempted, for instance, or my friend that had lost a family member. And you have to talk to them and kind of find out what is the distortion that happens there. And they gave me a lot of things that I don't know that I would have thought of on my own. But knowing that those close friends' stories are worked into this short story and into the film makes it that much more personal and a labor of love for me.
Well, there's therapists out there that do a wonderful job, but sometimes a person just wants to talk to someone that can relate to the same situation they're going through. And that's all it
Absolutely.
takes.
Absolutely. I've likened it to, it's like this train station at the end of the line, and you've got all these people that have come from all over the place, and they've come to this one place to get on this train that's going to leave and never come back. And every person has a unique way of how they got there, and therefore they're going to need a unique thing to find their way back. But every single one of those people needs someone to talk to. They need to be able to talk to someone who will listen. Every single one of them. So some people are going to need group therapy. Some people are going to need one-on-one therapy. Some people are going to need, medication to help. There's just a myriad um, responses to this kind of thing. Some people need to get 8 hours of sleep and go for a walk every day and change their diet. For some people, it can be as simple as that. For a lot of people, it is not. But everyone, regardless of how serious it is, or how ingrained in their DNA it is, or how ingrained in their circumstances it is, everyone needs someone to talk to who will listen. And that's what I'm hoping the book demonstrates. That's what I'm hoping the film will demonstrate. And that's really what I'm hoping Five Coffees in a Book will facilitate. I'm really hoping Five Coffees in a Book will get people really sitting down across the table from each other, talking, discussing, sharing. I had some friends that did it. They were sort of my first group, sort of my guinea pig group. I was like, you guys do this and sort of let me know what you think. And it was all people that had known each other for a very long time and considered themselves pretty close friends. And the way the 5 weeks go is the first week you just sort of say, hey, here's what we're going to do. There's like some icebreaker questions or whatever, but basically it just tells everybody where to get the book. So by second week, you've read the book. So you come back and you discuss the story. Third week, you come back and you talk about Roy and you talk about people that have encouraged you. The fourth week, you come back and you talk about Gwen and you have an opportunity to tell your own story if you want. There's no obligation in any of this. And then the fifth week, you come back and you talk about Sam and you talk about people that you can encourage. And then the idea is that then you would go to one of those people and you would do Five Coffees in a Book again with them and be able to have a time like that. And then it would just sort of multiply from there. Would be wonderful. So when this guinea pig group got to that week 4, where they were able to sort of share some of their own story, the idea is that you would get together for 45 minutes or an hour. Well, I think there was 3 or 4 in the group and they were there for like 2.5, 3 hours. And they did it at they had been meeting in a coffee shop, but they had this particular meeting at one of their houses and they were able to just really open up and share with each other. And it's a closeness in those relationships that they didn't know they could have. And within the second or third week of doing Five Coffees in a Book, they said, can we keep this group going after the book is done? Because I like this relationship, and I want to keep this kind of connection going. That's the whole purpose of it. That's what I'm trying to see happen with Five Coffees in a Book.
I love finding a book or a film that resonates and really changes my life. There's been a few that I can say have really impacted me. Have you ever seen The Blind? It's about Phil Robertson, the guy that started Duck Dynasty.
I haven't seen it, but I know who you're talking about.
You should see that film because there was so much of what he went through is the same thing that I went through, the alcohol and the women and all that kind of stuff and how he changed his life. And we saw one the other night called Hoovie, and it's about a kid that's a real good athlete and he's playing basketball and he ends up finding out that he has a brain tumor, and there's a kid that joins the team that he came from kind of like a rough area, what have you, and didn't really like anybody. And at the end, they kind of shared something in common and got to be friends. But when you get a movie like that, that just it like flips a switch inside your brain. And that's what I'm looking for. I don't need a big Hollywood production because these movies, well made, but I don't think that they were a big Hollywood deal. And that's what I'm looking for. I'll just put it that way. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah, well, you can go on YouTube and search The Darkness Rolled Over Her and find the trailer and watch that. Maybe it's something you can link in show notes or something like that. But I think our end product is turning out pretty good. But like you said, it's not a big Hollywood production. We were able to get away with some couple of cheats that make it look a lot more expensive than it is. And I feel like I got a good education. I feel like it's going to look, it's going to look pretty good. But like you say, it's the story.
Gotcha.
Story is always how humans have been able to connect with each other. The major religions of the world, their books are full of stories, you know. Um, Even this, like as we're talking about the five coffees in a book, what makes it so powerful is when one person looks across the table at another person and shares their story. It's what you and I are doing right now that is hopefully encouraging the people that are listening. Stories are very important and very powerful. And I was a pretty smart guy in high school, maybe not so much anymore, but I did pretty good in math and science in high school. I probably could have been, a doctor or something like that and done good and important work. But just the way that I was created and shaped, I I just think that this is the most important work that I could do to make life worth living for people. And it is my job. I want to sell books. I want to sell coffee mugs and t-shirts and movies and all that stuff. I need to pay the bills. But if I had to, work construction for the rest of my life and die poor, but know that this story really kept people around, that would be that would be enough for me. I would appreciate that. It would be a good life.
I know exactly what you mean, man. And I've been there. I lost my brother, my father, and a best friend all within a 3-year period, and they didn't
Sorry.
get any help. And I went through it. Luckily, I came out okay on the other side, but we need encouragement. We need something that can resonate, and I will put all your links in the description, so it'd be easy for folks to find you. Now, you have another website?
My production company is parabolos.com, parabolos.com. And that links to pretty much everything. My other short films that I've done, the trailer for this film, the books, audiobooks. I've got a podcast blog over on Substack as well. But I think you should be able to find pretty much everything from there. So fivecoffeesinabook.com is the big one. That's where you can get the ebook and the discussion guide for free. And that'll also get you signed up for news about the film coming out. Parabolos.com has everything of mine, my social media links and all that stuff as well. So
Wait, well, Paul, thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate the conversation.
thank you for having me. And I appreciate the fact that you're taking the things that have happened to you in your life and you're giving back and you're encouraging other people.
Thank you, sir. And I also want to thank all you folks out there. If you are new to the channel, I hope you'll come back. And by the way, YouTube has done their annual audit and took away almost 500 of my subscribers. So check to see if you are still subscribed. But anyway, again, thank you, everyone. Please take care. Be kind to one another. God bless and peace.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of Listen to the Vibes. You can catch us on Buzzsprout or wherever you listen to your favourite podcasts. And on YouTube. Follow us on Facebook at The Vibes Broadcast Network